recorded live in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Trivial Warfare. More than just a pub quiz, Trivial Warfare is your gateway to a worldwide trivia community. Join your hosts, Jonathan.
We just described Ric Flair as Neanderthal Man and Planet of the Apes.
Carmela.
That would irritate the hell out. I'm like, I just want my groceries. My ice cream is melting.
Ben.
4 halogens in that list? Oh my God.
You're like, it's not the halogens. I'm like, no, Ben, no.
Those damn halogens got me again.
Aaron.
I haven't started cooking more, but I have started thinking about cooking more, so I've looked at a lot of recipes for things. Mostly cocktails.
Zakia.
I'm a very happy evil genius.
Yeah.
And Nick.
For all the listeners out there, if you spend enough money, you can be where I am today.
And the rest of the Trivial Warfare Army for another week of fun and games. Now here's your host, Jonathan Oakes.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Trivial Warfare. We are the podcast that takes the pub quiz out of the pub and brings it home to you. My name is Jonathan and I am here today with Nikki Bates. Hello, Nikki.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, I'm here with Nick Groves. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Jonathan.
Guys, we have some awesome guests today. First in the house, Trey, Canida. Hello, Trey.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, brother. Next up, Marcus Plaisance is with us. Hello, Marcus.
How's it going, Jonathan?
Doing great. And last but not least, Danny Browning is with us. Hello, Danny.
Hello.
Good morning. I want to get to know each of you a little bit better. Trey, we're going to start with you. Please tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for letting me be on. It's my second time. Really excited to be here again. I'm from Fairhope, Alabama, which is down on the Gulf Coast. I'm an attorney, particularly a criminal defense attorney primarily, although I do a little bit because it's a small town. You kind of have to do whatever comes in the door, but primarily criminal defense. Something interesting about myself, I just got back from Disney World. And when I say just got back, last night about 6 p.m., got back from Disney World. First time I had been in 31 years. First time my wife had been in 18 years, and we took our 3- and 5-year-old for the first time. So that was, I need a vacation now. So
How many days were you there?
So we were there. We drove to Gainesville last Friday to just make the drive because we drove, and then drove into Disney World Saturday, then drove back yesterday. So we stayed at Disney, I guess, 6 days.
Whoa, that is exhausting.
It was, Alex, I need a vacation.
What's the coolest thing you got to do there, especially with the kids?
Well, we had dinner in Cinderella's royal table, which my 5-year-old daughter loved.
Whoa.
Getting to meet all the princesses. That was pretty cool. So that was fun. And then my son, who's 3, loves roller coasters, which I do not. And so he and I rode Slinky Dog several times. He loved that.
Slinky Dog's a great roller coaster.
Yeah, it was fun.
One is really good. I actually skipped Space Mountain when I went, not because I don't love roller coasters, but because the idea of riding a roller coaster in the dark makes me fear for my back.
Yeah.
You know, Nick, it's a very, very well taken point. So the last time that I was there, my ex-girlfriend was a huge Disney lady. She loved Disney. So we went way more than I wanted to. And yeah, I rode Space Mountain within the last 5 years. And you're right. Not being able to see means not being able to prepare your body for whatever's coming. And I mean, I really hurt my back. It's like you do a quick 2-foot leap up and then a slam down for I don't know, 10 feet or whatever. And your body just like is an accordion. It's stretched and then crashes into it. If you have any kind of disc problems, I'm walking out of there like an old man, like holding my back.
I rode everything at all the parks when we were there 2 years ago. 2 years ago this week we went. I rode everything at all the parks, but I noped out of Space Mountain. Waited in the whole line and then got up to the front and the kids were like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, nope, you all have fun. I'll meet you at the end.
Yeah. I stayed on Space Mountain for that same reason. Yeah.
A new back.
You didn't do it either?
No, I just, there was a Mark Rober video that my kids were watching yesterday where he imaged like the inside of Space Mountain using infrared technology. So there you go. And then you can just, look down at a map while you ride, and then you'll know when to brace.
Sure, that'll help.
Good call. Thanks, Nikki.
Have you seen Space Mountain with the lights on? There are pictures of it online with the lights on.
It is crowded in there.
It is a lot. The ceiling is a lot closer to your head than you would like to be willing to admit.
For real. All right, Trey, we're glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Marcus, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
My name is Marcus Plaisance. I am an appellate attorney from Prairieville, Louisiana. I checked. This is my 9th time on the show, so I'm pretty excited to be back in the 500s. As far as interesting about myself, I was an ecology director at a Scout summer camp for 2 summers. Summer after, I think, high school, and then maybe summer after freshman year of college. And it was a great time living in a canvas tent for 8 weeks in South Louisiana. I'm glad I did it then because I don't think I would do it now.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine living out of a tent and doing that. I get real hot real fast. And bugs friggin' love me. Are bugs like big fans of you?
Yeah, they're huge fans of me. And I mean, after the first few days, you kind of just get used to it, honestly. I mean, it's like, when you go swimming in a cold pool, it doesn't feel cold after a while. I mean, it's, you just get used to it, and there's no more skin left for the bugs to bite. So you're fine after that.
When it all itches, you can't tell which part itches more.
So when it all itches, nothing itches. When everyone's, what's that? Isn't that Syndrome's line from The Incredible? When everybody's special, nobody is.
Well, Marcus, it is always a blast to have you. Thanks for joining us today. And by the way, it looks like a pelican on your hat. What am I looking at with your hat today?
It's the logo it's a logo for my law firm.
Oh.
There's pelicans are low-hanging fruit in Louisiana, so it's just something I came up with.
Pelicans are cool birds. I spotted a group of 3 white pelicans recently here on the marsh, and that was a sight to see. They're really pretty. All right, Danny, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Hello, all. I'm Daniela Browning. I go by Danny most of the time, so that works. I am not an attorney. I own a renovation and construction company with my husband. So I do the design, project management, advertising, all the paperwork side and making it pretty side, and he makes it happen. Yeah, we've been doing that. The company's been around 5 years now, and so we kind of work in the Ottawa surrounding area. So River Oaks Interiors, if you're here and you need some renos. And my something fun is in about just under 5 weeks, I am running the Ottawa Marathon.
Oh,
and it is terrifying. And Mother Nature has not cooperated in training, and I hate running on a treadmill. So this is going well.
So are you a runner? Do you enjoy running, or is this I have a mission and I'm working my way up to it kind of thing?
So I used to run before I had kids, but my eldest is now 9. I ran my last half marathon when I was pregnant with her. And when I finished, I was crying and my hips felt like they were 2 pieces of sandpaper rubbing together. And I said, never again. The poor man who was handing me my finishing dog tags went, are you okay? And I'm like, I just want my mom. And
no.
So that's what happens when you run when you're 14 weeks pregnant. So
oh my gosh.
For a long time after that. And because I can sometimes be a bit basic, I'm turning 40 3 days after the race. And I was like, what's something I'm going to do before I am technically middle-aged? And I'm like, let's run a marathon. Yeah, I thought of that in January.
That is not basic. That is the opposite of basic.
Yeah.
But when you have like the memes of like things you do before you turn 40, and I like looked at them, I'm like, oh, I started most of these before 30. Oh, I might as well do the marathon.
Can I tell you how ridiculous it is to have that kind of midlife crisis where you just do something that everybody else your age does? It's
Nick
absurd.
is holding up a sleeve of tattoos right now.
I don't have one of those yet. That is on the list, though.
Yeah, I have to agree with Nikki. Nikki is a very basic person, and she would be able to tell you if what you were doing was basic.
Yeah, I did jump out of a plane for my 30th, but for my 40th, I was like, does anyone want to go out for beer and cake? That was basic.
Yeah.
I need to open a restaurant called Beer and Cake. I just realized that's
very
pretty good.
popular.
Pretty good, yeah.
The gluten-free crowd will hate you.
I mean, they probably already do.
It's a bonus feature.
All right,
As
it's a
they
feature, not a bug.
An entire section of listeners.
Danny, it is great to have you here today. Thanks for joining us. Guys, we are going to have a great time today. I can feel it. We got a good crowd. We got a good host. Even Nick seems like he's going to be good today, which, I mean, I know it's rare. It's awesome. We're going to get started right now with Warm It Up. Chris.
It's time to warm it up on Trivial Warfare today. And there's only one person who can warm it up for the TWA, and that's Chris. And sometimes Jonathan.
And I'm warming it up today because I am technically not Chris, but I am Chris in my spirit. I actually screwed up, so I'll tell you a little bit about it because it's always fun to know about other people's foibles. I had this great idea for a Warm It Up Chris. I was listening to Hit Parade, I think, episode, and they did a recent episode on Madonna. I'll give you, this is just a fact. Now, did you know that Madonna has the all-time record for number of consecutive top 5 hits?
I did not.
I did not know that.
From her, like, second single to all the way, from, like, 1984 to 1990-ish, she never had less than a number 5 hit. Every song she released, 16 in a row, were number 5 or above.
Wait.
And I thought, wow, that's what?
I'm just saying, like, Taylor Swift released 2 albums, and all of them were in the top. Every song on the album was in the top 10.
That's the thing. With today's way of doing things, when every song can be on the charts, it prevents the ability for this to be a record.
It's a single release chain.
Exactly.
Is the record. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like one song ruins it. It's like,
Right.
So if any song didn't hit a certain number, then
It's
it
the
didn't
end
count.
of the road. Got it.
Yeah, and so I was like, whoa, that's going to be a fantastic warm-up Chris question. I need to tell them that I got this, right? 16 songs, this is going to be perfect. And throughout the week, I kept feeling kind of weird about it. I was like, what is it? Have we done this before? Have we done this before? I feel like, and finally I realized, Zakia did this. I played the game. I've done this before. I can't do it. Crap. All right. Well, Jonathan, think of something real quick because you signed up. You got to do Warm It Up, Chris. All right. How about the first 20 elements of the periodic table? They're like thinking about it. Damn it. We've done that before. So I had to dig deep. And there's a category that I enjoy that we don't ask a lot of questions about, and it's art. And so I decided to do, since I had to create a Warm Up Chris out from scratch, I was like, you know what? Let's do art. So I found a list of the top 20 most famous painters of all time as ranked by artlia.com. I've reviewed the list. It's a very good list. There's not a bunch of surprises or gotchas. It's not BS. Legitimate. This could be the top 20 most famous painters of all time. Maybe not, but it's a pretty good set.
We're doing painters, not paintings.
Painters. I did want to do paintings, but the lists that I found, there's too many that you won't be able to name. So we're going to start with Trey. And Trey, I want you to name one of the 20 most famous painters of all time as ranked by Artlia.
Okay, let's go with Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali, number 10 on the list. That is correct. Ooh. Good job. Marcus, you're next.
Let's go with Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci, number 1 on the list. Good job. Danny, you're next.
Monet,
number 5 on the list. Very good. I am interested, before I go to Nikki, I am interested in whether or not you guys can run this. I think you're going to leave one on the board. We're going to see.
Which number?
Number 15, as a matter of fact. Okay, Nikki, you're up.
I'm going to say Picasso.
Picasso, number 4 on the list. Good job. Nick, you're up.
We had Leonardo. Let's continue with Michelangelo.
Michelangelo Buonarroti, number 2 on the list. Good job. Trey, over to you.
How about Rembrandt?
Rembrandt van Rijn, number 6 on the list. Well done. Marcus.
We did Monet. Let's do Manet.
Monet, the first miss. Monet is not correct.
Ooh.
Good try. All right, over to Danny.
Renoir?
Renoir. Let me check here. Not on the list.
Really?
Yep. All right, Nikki, over to you.
Degas.
Degas, Edgar Degas, number 11 on the list. Nick.
Continuing down the turtle path, Raphael.
Raffaello Sanzio da Urbina, number 19 on the list. And yeah, that's his full name. Raphael is Raffaello Sanzio da Urbino. All right, Trey, over to you. So far we have, it looks like 9 right answers and 2 misses.
I'm running out of artists here, Jonathan.
Oh, no, sorry. 8 right answers and 2 misses.
How about Frida Kahlo?
Ooh, Frida Kahlo, number 12 on the list. Good job. Marcus.
I almost inadvertently destroyed one of these paintings one time. Let's go Jackson Pollock.
Number 16 on the list is Jackson Pollock. Good job.
Yeah, we're not moving on. We need that story now.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that story.
So I was at, I think it was MoMA in New York, and we were on vacation for my wife's 30th birthday, and we're going through the museum, la-di-da, and like, you know, all of these priceless artworks, there's basically no barrier between the public and them. And so this is the first Jackson Pollock I had seen in person. So I'm like inspecting the work, and I'm wearing a hat, and I'm right there. And what you forget is that your hat is about, 5 inches closer. And I just feel, I'm not a small guy, but I'm not Jonathan size, but I feel like the yank of death on my shoulder, and it's a security guard like advising me, sir, you are extremely too close and your hat is extremely too closer. So it was, if he would have not stopped me, I would probably be in debtor's prison right now.
You were stressing him out. He was watching you. He's like, this beep, beep. I'm going to do something about this.
And I'm glad he did. I'm very glad.
Real. All right, Danny, over to you.
Did someone say Van Gogh already?
No one said Van Gogh. He's number 3 on the list.
Oh, all right. My list started getting very short after everyone went around.
All right, Nikki.
Amazingly, I didn't have Van Gogh down either. I'm going to say O'Keeffe.
Highest rated woman on the list, Georgia O'Keeffe at number 9.
Woo.
All right, Nick, over to you.
The only turtle left is Donatello, and since he's a sculptor, is probably not on this list. The 2 women I had on my list were already taken up. So let's go with Matisse.
Henri Matisse, number 13 on the list. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. After 3 rounds, you have 13 right answers, 2 misses, and there are 4, 5, 6, 7 right answers still available. Trey, back to you.
Has anybody said Andy Warhol?
No one has said Andy Warhol.
I'm saying Andy Warhol.
You're saying Andy Warhol. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Andy Warhol not on the list.
Whoa.
Which, honestly, just in terms of overall fame, I probably put him there. But
he only had like 15 minutes, right?
Wow. Nice. All right. Marcus, your turn.
So I had Andy Warhol as the last painter on my list.
It helps to think of famous paintings and then think about who made them.
It seems like that's the way they made up the list, is to pick the most 20 famous paintings and then go backwards, maybe.
No, I don't think so. No.
I'm going to have to phone a friend on this one.
Can't phone a friend on a Warm It Up, Chris. You got to give me an answer. No, I'm kidding. You can get a friend.
Okay, well, he's not on the list, but what about George Rodrigue, a famous Louisiana painter of Blue Dog fame?
George Rodrigue, not on the list. Good guess. All right, Danny, you're up.
No, I needed more time. I'm going through paintings, and we've already said every painting I can think of. Do I have anybody?
I've got a bunch of Madonna songs on my list.
I was going to say.
Before Jonathan changed it.
That one, I probably could have done most of them by myself. This, however, is a problem. Can I phone a friend?
It sounds like you guys have gotten to the point where you would like hints. Would you like hints?
I have, with the concept of think of a famous painting, come up with a famous author, I have 7 more artists on my list.
Oh my gosh.
So I
That's
can name
fun.
famous paintings for people if you want to take my guesses.
No, I'll just give a clue here and there. Danny, think about pieces of jewelry.
Oh, Klimt.
Klimt is number 20 on the list. Good job.
I don't know if that's who you were going for, but
That is not what I was thinking.
It is not what I was going for, but it worked. Nikki, over to you.
All right. I have 2 favorites left on my list, and I'm trying to decide between them. I'm going to go with, I think, the underdog, which is Norman Rockwell.
Ooh.
Norman Rockwell, not on the list. Yeah, the pop art people aren't really here. They're not considered the most famous by this list, this ranking.
Think of the distribution of the Saturday Evening Post. Now, what is fame? Tell me, Jonathan.
Think of the whole world. And not just 30s America, 40s, whatever. All right, Nick, your guy.
All right. One that Jonathan and I have seen together in person, I believe, for the first time. Cezanne.
Paul Cezanne, number 14 on the list. Good job.
Yep.
All right, Trey, over to you.
Okay. Got a couple more guesses written down here. How about Hieronymus Bosch?
That is a great answer and is not on the list, and I guarantee he'd be in the next 5. That's a good one. All right, Marcus, would you like a hint, or do you got something?
I think I have a person that's an art person. What about, and maybe this is not who I think it is. What about Gauguin?
Gauguin is an art person. Gauguin is who you think he is, and Gauguin is not on the list.
Oh.
Pox upon your list.
2 out of 3.
All right, Danny.
I'm still wondering. I'm still going off of your last clue, and I still can't think of it.
No, I'll give you another possibly helpful clue. Think of walking on a boardwalk at the beach, or maybe a pier.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know who paints it. Probably when you tell me I will, but no, I'm going to have to pass, guys. I am tapped.
All right. It's okay. Nikki, you're up. Last guess.
How about Magritte? Magritte, the apple face guy.
Magritte is not on the list.
Magritte.
Not on the list. Good answer, though.
Whole apple face.
All right, Nick, last one.
The jewelry, when you say jewelry, I think of earrings, perhaps made of pearl, and the girl who wears them. That would be Vermeer.
Johannes Vermeer is a correct answer, girl with a pearl earring. All right, y'all can work together. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 names left on this list that you did not get.
So going the famous painting route, I thought it was Edward Hopper, Nighthawks.
That's a great answer. Not the right answer,
one.
but that's a good one.
The Scream is Munch.
The Scream is the guy walking on the boardwalk
That's
or
gotta
walking
be
on the
there.
pier. Like,
Yep,
that is Munch. Correct.
How about Paul Klee?
Clay is not there. Think about going to a museum, and museums have one painting by everybody who's left. Everybody who's on this list, if you go to a random museum, they've probably got one of these people's paintings. They're that prolific.
Caravaggio?
Caravaggio, number 17 on the list.
I have pop artists. I have Miro and Lichtenstein, and I don't think either of those are going to be on the list because you said stay away from pop kind of
I did, yes.
What about Diego
who's
Rivera?
Who's
Diego
the
Rivera's
flag
not
guy?
on the list. There is a Diego on the list, but it's not Rivera.
Who am I thinking of with the flags, the color blocking?
Mondrian.
Mondrian, yeah.
Mondrian, not on the list. All right, let me tell you who you missed. You just got Caravaggio. Diego Velázquez.
Diego Velázquez.
Diego Velázquez was number 18, and at number 15, the one that I thought you might not get was Titian.
Toulouse-Lautrec.
Titian.
Oh. Titian
was known for his use of color early Renaissance. So that was your list. Y'all did pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Well done.
Yay.
Go team.
Fun fact, I told you guys before we started recording that I had this play tested and swapped out a question or two because I thought they were too difficult. One of those was Titian. So it is no longer in the game, and I'm like, ooh, that would have been an extra hint. Maybe it would have made it easier. So
what was the question? I want to know if I would have gotten it.
I don't have the question in front of me right now, and I may use it for a future game, so I'm not going to give it to you, Jonathan. Sorry.
But
you'll have to wait.
You had a question that you analyzed enough that you decided not to ask it, and it was about a Baroque painter and
It was
Renaissance
a submitted
painter.
question.
Renaissance,
I
not
didn't write
Okay. Renaissance painter, and then we were talking about famous painters, and it never came across your mind?
It didn't.
Okay.
No. I'll be honest. No, it did not. But again,
That's
I had
genius.
a whole list of Madonna songs ready.
That's the way it is. All right, guys. That was your warm it up, Chris. Thank you, Jonathan. You're welcome. Let's go on. Let's see here. Today's game, it's going to be episode number 528. That means we are on the main feed. We are going to have a blast today. If you are listening to this and you would like to hear more episodes, because God knows you don't have enough, if you want more, and why wouldn't you? Go to trivialwarfarearmy.com. Sign up as a lieutenant or higher. Become part of the Army. You'll get access to our older episodes that are in the archives. And at the lieutenant level or higher, you start accumulating points towards coming on the show, just like Trey, Danny, and Marcus. We'd love to have you. Today's game, it is Marcus and Nick versus Danny, Trey, and Jonathan. Nikki is hosting, and it's time to play the game.
Players. Oh, yeah. Y'all know what time it is. This is Mr. Literature himself, cordially inviting you to the game. This is 6 rounds of trivia goodness. 3 questions per round. Every right answer gets you 10 points. In the middle, we'll take a pause for the cause and ask a midpoint question worth up to 20 juicy points. After round 6, you can wager any or all those points you've been building up and take a shot at the final round. It's a series of theme-based questions we call the Gauntlet. It's just that easy, baby. But this game ain't gonna play itself, players. Let's get it on.
No chit chat. Round 1, question 1. Let's go. Okay, well, we'll do a little more casual than that. Round 1, question 1. Your category is art. Your question is, Colorado Springs-based artist Sarah A. Boardman was recently commissioned to paint a portrait of whom? The subject of the painting was very unhappy with how it turned out, calling it purposefully distorted.
We can lock in.
Oh, all right. That's great. So Marcus and Nick are locked in. Trey and Danny.
I'm pretty sure this is Trump. I saw this on the news.
My first thought was Trump as well.
Did it look very realistic, and that's why he says it's distorted?
It wasn't an amazing painting. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
Okay, well, I'm okay with that. So y'all want to lock in Trump?
Yeah, I think that's the best guess. That's what I immediately thought of, or who I immediately thought of.
Let's do it. We're saying Trump.
Okay, Nick and Marcus, they are locked in with Trump. What did you guys put?
When Nick and I think art, we think Donald Trump, and so that is the answer that we chose for this question.
Terrible.
You know what we definitely don't think? Titian.
And thus the problem with America today, Nick.
All right, both teams locked in with Trump, not Titian, and both teams are correct.
Woohoo.
Good. All right. Hot start.
Round 1, question 2, your category is TV.
TV.
Anyone want to Sherlock that? Wild TV guess?
No,
if you were Chris, the answer would be West Wing, and yes, but you're not Chris.
Okay. In the Netflix series The Residence, Uzo Aduba plays a detective trying to solve the mystery of a body found where?
I have.
Yeah, we can 3, 2, 1.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Ready teams in 3, 2, 1.
The
White House.
White House.
You are both correct. It is the White House, kind of starting off the game with a theme accidentally. And I believe there was some chat in the host chat about this show, I believe, or some chat that we were both in. And I want you to know,
yeah,
I wrote this before any of that chatter happened. So
yeah, it was in the QQQ chat. And Sarah and I are watching it right now.
Coincidental. It was serendipitous for you. So you're welcome.
It's
you know what I learned about that show?
I highly recommend. It's very good.
The Giancarlo Esposito character was originally played by Andre Braugher, and they had to refilm a bunch of it when he died. I didn't know that.
Oh,
He would have been wonderful in the role.
He would have been great.
Okay. Let's finish out the round. Round 1, question 3. This comes to us from Clint Givens. Thank you, Clint.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Clint.
Your category is music.
Music.
What singular horns-inflected pop hit of 2014 has Iggy Azalea on the featured credit? The song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, one less than Azalea's own chart topper Fancy, which blocked the track in question and kept it in the bottom 99.
Interesting. Iggy Azalea autocorrects to Piggy Associate.
Oh, Kermie.
Okay, I'm going to mute out so I can sing this into my phone because I think I've got the tune, but I cannot get the
Let's
the
hear
name.
it. Come on. Give it to me.
This may go poorly.
And we are at time, so I'm going to need both teams to come up with an answer.
Let's lock in with what you said, Nick.
Okay.
So you guys are locked in. We haven't come up with an answer officially yet, and we have to because it's time. I was just going to say, I know AJR uses horns. They're probably not old enough for this, but our time is up. Would you hate it if I said we go with a song? What's the big song by them? All right. I forgot the damn song. Oh, well, it's something like Burn or Burn It Down. I give up. I don't know. You want to say Brooklyn, Danny? We can say Brooklyn.
We can say Brooklyn.
All right. I can't think of names
Right.
of songs.
Locking in with Brooklyn. Nick and Marcus, what did you guys land on?
First, I want to clarify what Jonathan was talking about. Are you talking about Burn It Up by the Jonas Brothers?
No, I'm talking about AJR.
Okay. The World's Smallest Violin is one of their bigger songs.
Burn This House Down is a major lyric in the song I'm thinking of. That's why I can't come up with it.
I could only come up with 2 songs that I know Iggy Azalea from. The first one was Fancy with Charlie XCX. And then the second one is she has a rap segment in Ariana Grande's Problem, which I know a lot about because I was looking it up when I'm listening to the Pentatonics cover of Problem, where Mitch does the rap. We went with Problem by Ariana Grande.
And how does that song go?
How does the Problem song go? Or how does the
Yeah,
rap
can
go?
either of you give me a little
Money
sample of
thinking I'll be
Problem?
better off without you.
Because we've got a couple
I've
hints
never
of the
listened to an
clue.
Ariana Grande song. How the hell would I know?
I got one less problem. One less than Azalea's own chart topper Fancy. And
there's a clue in the credits.
I knew there was a clue
one
there.
less
I didn't know the song.
Oh, that's going to hurt you.
Yeah, it is.
And the 99 is a reference to Jay-Z's 99 Problems. So for the first time in the game at the end of round 1, we have a little bit of separation. Nick and Marcus currently lead with 30 points. Jonathan, Trey, and Danny with 20.
I don't know if you realize this, but the Andre Brower talk previous to this kind of threw a kink in that because you had 9-9 in quotes, which is why we answered Brooklyn.
Brooklyn 99. Got
We
it.
knew that was a clue. I've never heard that song, so I had no way of getting there.
No, I like your logic, but unfortunately, it was
We
just
we
the
talked
wrong
about
answer.
99 Problems as well, but knew that was too
Just knew it wasn't a pop song from 2014.
That brings us to round 2. This comes to us from Rob Warman. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Your category is theater.
Theater. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Every element in a story must be necessary, and irrelevant elements should be removed. What Russian playwright is credited with this storytelling advice?
I've got meow meow. Guys, can we lock in? I feel like we should lock in.
Yeah,
that's good.
I've got meow meows as well,
Ooh, nice.
or toot toots.
Oh, I don't know where my damn whistle is.
So Nick and I are still debating whether you spell theater ER or RE.
Yeah.
Depends on if you're bougie.
Nick went with the extremely basic ER, and I went with the extremely correct RE. But we both, what did we say, Nick?
So yeah, the first thing that comes to mind with the concept of, every element in a story must be necessary and irrelevant elements should be removed. That's the whole concept of Chekhov's gun. If you are going to talk about a gun in the second scene, it better be important in the fourth act, right? Like that's the whole point. So Chekhov is what we went with.
And knowing that this exists has changed the way I watch plays. I recently watched Anastasia, at my daughter's school, and they had the music box in like the very beginning, and I was like, that's there for a reason.
What was the reason, Marcus? Don't spoil it for people. Stop. I'm teasing. Sorry, I was just saying.
He was a ghost the whole time.
No. All right, y'all said Chekhov?
We said Chekhov.
Trey,
And
you said
you
you had it
guys?
locked in too with me. I mean, I can tell you, I literally just had a conversation about this specific thing with Sarah less than a week ago. So it was very, very fresh for me. But how did you know?
Same, Chekhov's gun. If a gun appears in Act 1, then by the end of the play, it better have been shot, or there's no reason for it to be there. So,
Yep.
Chekhov.
Love it. Where'd you learn that?
I was an English major, so.
Love it. All right, we say Chekhov.
Both teams locked in with Chekhov, and 10 points to each team. Nice job. It is Chekhov, and you guys have already explained the flavor with the gun. So, nice work. Round 2, question 2 is also from prolific trivia writer Rob Warman.
Rob Warman.
Prolific
And
Rob.
Your category is Latin. The Latin phrase cave canem was found on a sign in the ruins of Pompeii, where the sign had been used in the very same way a homeowner might use it today. What is the English translation of that phrase? Cave canem.
Yeah, we can lock in.
All right, Jonathan, your team can talk it out.
Do either of you know Latin?
As a lawyer, there's lots of legal, Latin legal phrases, but I don't know this one.
I've got a thought. I was just thinking, okay, no trespassing, but then beware of dog. Canem could be like canine. Maybe that's a root.
So, buyer beware is a Latin phrase that's used, when you're selling a house, buyer beware, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time remembering right now the Latin phrase for buyer beware, but cava canem, it's not cava canem, but if it was beware,
Is it
buyer
caveat
beware.
emptor?
That's it. Caveat emptor, buyer beware.
CAVE?
Yeah.
Caveat?
Caveat emptor is buyer beware.
The first part of this phrase is CAVE.
So
Just
you're
a different
saying
conjugation.
beware what?
Beware of dog.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because canem and canine are getting kind of close there. So yeah, I prefer beware of dog.
I really like you brought up let the buyer beware because caveat and cave are probably conjugations of the same word.
Yeah. I like that too. I think that's good.
All right, let's do it. We're going to say beware of dog.
All right, they're locked in with beware of dog. Nick and Marcus, what did you guys land on?
We both knew that it was beware of dog from our extensive. Nick and I do a weekly Latin study on the internet, and this was actually the phrase.
And I Marcus wanted to invite people, but I said absolutely not. It's just the two of us. We got to keep this as small as possible.
Yeah. So, but last week's whole conversation was about dogs of Pompeii, and so we said beware of dog.
8-hour session.
I didn't know y'all had the bromance like that. That explains the sneaking off together when you were in Jacksonville. I never really understood, but now I see.
All right. Both teams locking in with beware of dog. Cave Conman means beware of Jeremy Conman.
Jeremy, yeah.
So, yeah. Got to watch out for him.
Honestly, fair and valid warning.
But you are both correct. It is beware of dog for the very same reasons that you successfully deduced.
Love it.
Yay.
I was so glad we got that.
That was fun to watch you guys work it out. That was great. Question 3 in round 2 is brought to you by Nikki Bates.
Well, thank you, Nikki.
A reminder that you guys can Sherlock. Your category is nudge, nudge.
Let's think about that before you ask a question.
Oh.
We shouldn't get more than 30 seconds for this, Nikki.
Okay. All right. Last call if anyone wants to Sherlock.
Marcus, yes?
Look at what
I
just
like
said.
that. Danny, I like that. Oh, no, sorry, Trey, I like that.
That was Trey. I was like, I didn't do it.
I think we should Sherlock that.
Sherlock it
Can
in.
both teams Sherlock on the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Why
The
not?
double
Okay.
Sherlock.
Are you
We
both
double Sherlock. Okay, we're
Sherlocking?
both Sherlocking.
Yeah, Marcus, I think we need to. Yeah.
Nikki, you
we're
got
also
you
Sherlocking
check our
it.
answers. Ours is the one that Trey put.
Nice.
And ours is the one that you have on your answer sheet.
And don't tell us if we get it right because we need you to read the question and we need to answer it and all that.
Your question is, in the category of Nudge Nudge, which host of Tic-Tac-Doe, High Rollers, and Gambit passed away at the age of 91 in April 2025?
We're sticking with our answer. We are locked in.
We are also sticking with our answer. We are also locked in.
Is this going to be a Sherlock 3, 2, 1?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to 3, 2, 1 it in 3, 2, 1.
Wink Martindale.
You are both correct. Now, aren't you glad I gave you that little nudge to Sherlock it?
100% would not have done it otherwise.
What a great one. I thought, I was like, okay, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, know what I mean? Monty Python, that would be the guess, right? And Trey's like, Wink Martindale. Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Right. Like, he just died, what, 2 days ago?
Yeah. So
Current
Nikki, there's
events.
not a way. There's no way to score that yet.
Yeah, that's not in the score sheet. The score sheet
so add
predates
5
Sherlock
from now
event.
on.
All right, I'm just going to make myself a little note at the end of the game so I will not forget.
Nick, have you missed a question yet?
I've missed multiple questions, but thankfully my partner is all over it.
So you're in the running.
Yes.
Because we've never had the +5 in a perfect game before, so you and Marcus could have a perfect game because you haven't missed any yet.
Oh, this could be good.
Don't screw it up, Nick. History's on the line here.
Honestly, Trey, what was it? Taylor and I just had a 404, didn't we? Like 2 episodes ago, or
Nobody knows
episode
what you're
ago,
talking
5
about,
episodes
Nick.
ago. Yeah, we just did that. I think this would be back-to-back perfect games for me, which is not likely.
Taylor, who?
Who was the last person that we were on with?
I don't know. You've been drinking again.
I'll look it up.
All right, Nikki, keep us rolling.
Again, I never
Drinking
stop.
coffee. All right. And as you said, Nick and Marcus have not missed yet. So at the end of round 2, their score is 60 to Jonathan, Trey, and Danny's 50. That brings us to round 3.
Wait. You didn't add the +5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like I said, I added that at the end. So I'm sorry. Those will be added at the end of the game. At which time it would bring you to 65 and 55 if I had added it now. So
There, that's better. That feels good.
okay, round 3, question 1. Your category is names the same. And this was a little bit accidental, but the entirety of round 3 will all be potent potable themed. This is all alcohol themed by accident.
Nice.
Names the same. Your question is, what popular alcoholic seltzer shares its name with a 1952 Western starring Gary Cooper?
Meow meow.
Yep.
Oh, y'all locked in?
3, 2, 1?
No, I don't think.
He was meow meowing on your behalf.
Okay.
I was meow meowing, Jonathan.
You meow meowed?
Yeah, I thought Trey was meowing. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Marcus. My bad. I mean, if you say so. Danny, do you have any complaints?
Nope, that sounds
Okay, we can do that if you want to.
Here we go again in 3, 2, 1.
High
noon.
That is correct.
I've never heard of this drink.
It's delicious.
It is very good.
It's a vodka seltzer. It's similar to White Claw. Like it comes in those little skinny cans and
yeah, you know the Sunny D
tequila as well. Tequila
the vodka
or
Sunny
vodka
D's,
seltzer.
right? The vodka Sunny D's we were drinking at your wedding. It's very similar to those.
Yeah, there are much better alcoholic drinks that are like coming in cans that don't taste like. I think the problem I have with like White Claws and stuff is that seltzer water tastes terrible on its own, and adding alcohol to it makes it worse. So now if you mix alcohol with like Sunny Delight, okay, now I'm in. All right,
Yeah,
give
it's
me some Capri Sun and rum, and I'm a happy guy.
They have that. That's a thing.
Just don't
give me
store
some
the
faucet water, a soda stream, and some tequila.
It's hose water.
rum.
Hose water.
do not store your seltzer next to your Celsius in your fridge though, because the cans are indistinguishable at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, that leads to a really good day. It leads to a fun day.
Oh gosh. All right. Again, this is all alcohol themed. So round 3, question 2. The category is just potent potables.
Wait, was High Noon right? Did you say?
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Maybe I swapped my cans this morning. Who knows? Yes, you are correct. Your 3, 2, 1 High Noon is in fact correct. Good job.
And Jonathan,
now
episode 525, Corn, was Taylor Farabee and myself getting a 404.
Taylor.
Spoiler alert, I'm in the middle of that one right now.
Oh.
I am as well, Marcus. Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Yeah,
I'll never
great
listen
job,
to it.
Nick. Well, let me tell you all, it goes well.
Good news, it ends amazingly.
Actually, it's a really great episode.
It is a good
It
episode.
was very funny. I listened to it while driving.
All right, we are moving on. Round 3, question 2. This comes to us from Dan Felsenheld. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
And again, this is Potent Potables, and his question is 1.5 ounces rye whiskey or cognac, a 1/4 ounce absinthe, 1 sugar cube, 3 dashes, I hope I'm saying this right, Peychaud's bitters, served in an old-fashioned glass. This is the recipe for what cocktail, which was proclaimed to be the official cocktail of New Orleans in 2008.
Marcus.
And I will
No
paste
advantage
that
at all
recipe
there, huh?
Again,
Or
I
pressure.
didn't know who was going to be on the show, and this is also from Dan, not me. So I love this question.
I feel like I might have meow meows on that. Well, I guess if I feel like I might have meow meows, I really don't. But I'm pretty confident in that answer.
Oh.
Not the typo, the second one. Apparently, I know alcohol.
All right, I think we're locking in.
Okay, Nick and Marcus, you can talk it out.
Yeah, good, because we wanted to talk this out. So, Marcus, what are you thinking?
I mean, I told you in the chat, I don't like licorice, so I don't really drink absinthe. I mean, the problem is that, proclaimed to be the official cocktail of New Orleans by who? Is this like when Titian was a top 20 painter, or is this like somebody in New Orleans proclaimed this? I mean, I think your recommendation was the Sazerac. I think that's low-hanging fruit. I think that makes sense. It's like there's the Roosevelt Hotel in New Orleans, and their bar is the Sazerac bar, and that's where it was invented. Peychaud's bitters, obviously, that's a New Orleans family that's been there for generations. The absinthe thing is throwing me off, because if I could say like this is, I mean, I've had a Sazerac. I'm trying to remember if it's something that.
Did you like it?
No,
I've heard
so that's
it's
good.
the heart grow
Yeah.
fonder, the absinthe.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I can name.
I was trying to figure out how Sazerac fit into that, but it's the absinthe. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, I can name 100 things that it's not.
How about one less?
One less. We have 99 cocktails.
But Sazerac ain't one. I think if that's the low-hanging fruit, and that's something that's associated with New Orleans, and that's something that you've had and you don't like because it tasted like licorice, then it hits all on the. It's got all the right notes.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel better saying Sazerac, and if that's for some reason wrong, then not saying Sazerac, and it's right.
On top of that, don't you want to go with my suggestion over this New Orleans question? In which case, if it's wrong, it's my fault, and definitely wasn't you missing a New Orleans question.
But I'm not going to pronounce it like you spelled it, Sazerac. That sounds like a terrible seltzer.
No discussion of a hurricane, which is interesting.
It's not a hurricane. That's a rum-based drink. It was invented at Pat O'Brien's. And it's not always frozen. The ones you get there are over ice.
The ones I had at Mardi Gras were frozen.
Call me next time, Nick.
Let's go with Sazerac and call it good.
Let's go with Sazerac. Locked in.
Okay, they're locked in with Sazerac. And Trey, I think you were the one who came up with the answer on that side. Is that right?
Yeah, so like I said, I live in Fairhope, Alabama. It's about 2 hours from New Orleans, so go to New Orleans quite a bit. When I think of New Orleans and alcohol, I think of Sazerac and Pat O'Brien's Hurricane, and this was definitely not a hurricane, so I thought it had to be a Sazerac.
Both teams locking in with Sazerac. You are correct. It is Sazerac. And in answer to your question, it wasn't just some guy who said Titian. It was actually the Louisiana legislature in 2008 that proclaimed it. So it is official.
They do a lot of funny things, though, so I would not trust those guys and gals.
Okay, round 3, question 3. This comes to us from David Abalafia.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Your category is cock blocking.
Sounds like David.
Okay.
First bottled in 1896, what is the national beer of Guatemala? It is available under its original name throughout the world, except in the United States, where it is called Famosa, out of deference to an American company in a similar business with an identical name. Coming to you in the chat. So again, it's Guatemala's national beer, but they don't call it by the same name in the United States because there's already a company in a similar business with that name.
All right, let's walk. We'll lock in.
Danny, it just hit me that this would have its normal name in Canada. It wouldn't be Famosa. And when you were in Australia, it would have been whatever the real word is.
Yeah.
If I can tell you this, if the answer doesn't have some kind of rooster tie-in, I'm going to need Nikki to change the category name because it's problematic. So that tells me it has got to be some kind of rooster, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the category seems to be leading you that way for sure.
1896.
I can't think if it's called Famosa in the U.S. because there's already an American beer with the same name. I just can't think of any American beers, Rooster, Chicken, anything like that. When she first said it was alcohol, I mean, I knew it was alcohol based. You know, there's a whiskey called Chicken, I believe, but that's obviously not this.
I really don't want to guess that because legitimate. It's just because it's an answer. I can't edit it out, and I would feel the need to edit it out.
Understood.
So I wouldn't answer that.
That's my best guess, but I understand where you're coming from. So
I understand. Do y'all want to just go Red Rooster and take our little L here?
Yeah.
So are you guys locking in with Red Rooster?
Let's do that. We will lock in with Red Rooster.
Okay. I think you guys are going to have a reaction to Nick and Marcus's answer. Nick and Marcus, what did you guys answer?
Funny enough, I'm not a beer person, but I do, for whatever reason, have taken note of like national beers in different countries. So like the national beer of the Dominican Republic is Presidente. The national beer of Costa Rica is Imperial. And when I briefly went to Guatemala, the national beer in Guatemala was a beer called Gallo, which famous business. Isn't there like a Frank Gallo wines? But the more importantly, the mascot of Gallo beer is a rooster,
and the logo for Gallo wines is a rooster.
So that was our answer.
After all that preemptive scolding, it does in fact refer to a rooster. Gallo is the Spanish word for rooster, and the beer has a rooster logo, as you guys mentioned, but it predates, even though Cerveza Gallo predates Ernest and Julio Gallo, or maybe they are Gallo too, by more than 35 years. Mm-hmm. The winemaker is more Famosa. Mm-hmm. So it is instead Famosa here.
All right. Shoot, Nikki, I think you said it at the beginning, and it just didn't sound like anything that fit the clues for us.
And I heard in your chat, I think Trey was mentioning.
I said, God, I'm getting names wrong. I didn't mean Nikki, I meant Danny.
Was it? Did I? Yeah,
no,
one of you. I know it was mentioned in the chat.
That's Trey. God, yeah. Y'all's names are the same length, and I have bad eyesight. I'm wearing reading glasses.
Short blurs.
There is
Trey
a whiskey or a bourbon called what I said it was. But yeah, I agree, Johnson, about not guessing that. But I don't know if any of that's going to be edited out. But there is a bourbon called the other thing I said.
Yeah. Yes, I know. I totally get it. No, you said Gallo something. Isn't that Spanish for rooster? And I was like, yeah, it's got to be some kind of rooster. I think we were all looking for an English word.
Right. I mean,
which is probably dumb.
I was thinking an American beer or alcohol brand wouldn't have a Spanish name. So that's just.
Yep. We just boofed it. It's all right.
Okay. Well, after round 3, Nick and Marcus have 95 points with that bonus Sherlock, and Jonathan, Trey, and Danny have 75, also including their Sherlock answer. That brings us to our midpoint question, and the midpoint question is about the worst day of PE. A decade after World War II ended, President Dwight D. Eisenhower founded the President's Council of Youth Fitness. According to a report filed by the Associated Press in June 1956, he was concerned over failure of American youths to pass a basic minimum fitness test that European youths breezed through. What resulted was a battery of physical fitness tests that would collectively be known as the President's Challenge or the Presidential Fitness Test. What I'm looking for is the original challenge that consisted of 6 physical tests. Name 5 of them.
We don't have to give you the amount, just the type of exercise?
Right.
Okay.
What, like, the event is. So I need you to name 5 of the 6 physical tests in the original, emphasis on original, presidential fitness test.
And for what it's worth, there's a giant GIF in our chat that apparently I posted, and that was not intentional. I don't know where that
really
came
confused
from.
by that because then you related it back to me, and I'm like, I have no idea where this is going.
God, I feel like my brain is scrambled right now.
Well, it's a good thing you're on a trivia podcast at the moment.
Nikki, look at the last comment on our chat and tell us if we need to be more specific.
And be nice.
I usually am. I think that's acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. All right, we're locked
All right,
in.
Nick and Marcus, you have about a minute remaining to talk it out.
So Marcus started off by saying he did this during the Clinton administration, which made me very unhappy.
Like I did this in the Reagan administration, you son of a beep.
Yeah, that was exactly my response. I'm like, I remember during the Reagan administration when I did this.
Those were only 4 years apart, by the way.
They weren't for me.
We said immediately all the ups, the pushes, the pulls, the sits. And then the one that always stands out, I think, about the exercise that defines the Presidential Fitness Awards, which is the sit and reach, I believe. And then the fifth one we answered was a run. And if Nikki needed us to be more specific, we could be. And we said mile, but we're locking in with run.
Okay, so push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, sit and reach, mile run.
Yep.
Okay.
I think sit and
Jonathan,
reach is
Trey,
one of
and
them.
Danny.
I do remember like sitting on the ground with my legs akimbo and reaching forward, trying to hit a mark as far as I could. I do remember that. We didn't say that. We also said sit-ups, pull-ups, push-ups. Danny felt like the run was a mile. Sounded good, so he said a mile run. And our last one was jumping jacks. How many jumping jacks can you do in a minute or something like that?
That was our guess for the sixth one.
Yeah, it feels like, because these had to be from the 50s.
Yeah.
So we eschewed like lunges and crunches and all of that stuff. It's not going to be, burpees aren't going to be there.
Yeah, we had the sit and reach had the box. Do you remember it was like a wooden box that was like 12 or 20 inches long, and then the top like went out further and it had little ruler on top. And you had to reach out and see how far you could get. Oh, yeah. Well, it's just probably well-funded schools like Nebraska and not so much Florida or Georgia.
That big corn money.
Yeah.
Yeah, funding flexibility. All right. Well, you guys had some similar answers. The 6 original tests were push-ups, sit-ups, the standing broad jump.
Ooh.
Oh.
The shuttle run. Do you remember running back and forth, back and forth?
I said suicides.
The 50-yard dash.
It was a dash. Damn it.
And the softball throw, which presumably was to test how far that kids could throw a grenade. Yes. So both teams got push-ups and sit-ups, and I definitely remember the other ones that you guys were talking about, that mile run, the sit and reach. I think we had to climb a rope too, the pull-ups or arm hang, and those were all later iterations, but the original 6, push-ups, sit-ups, broad jump, shuttle run, 50-yard dash, and softball throw. So both teams picking up 2 answers there.
This
that was
very
my
much reminds
concern.
me of the original pentathlon question, where it's like, yeah, this exercise, horse racing. It's like, wait, what the?
Yeah, where did that one come from? It's out of left field. It was it's fencing, horse racing. It's all like
It's archery or no, sorry, sharpshooting. Yeah,
it's all like medieval military warfare.
Not
testing.
medieval, but yes,
or whatever.
Oh, I like that this is actual trivial warfare right now.
Pre-industrial.
All right, that's the end of the half.
Yeah, and with that, your score here, oops, I got to do a little mathing here, is Nick and Marcus lead with 103. Jonathan, Trey, and Danny, you have 83, and that is including your Sherlock points.
Love it. I'm going to add like 20 seconds of empty space between the point at which you said I have to do some mathing and the point at which you come up with the answer, just to make it seem like you took a really long time to do the math.
You know what? 20 seconds is forever. Like dead air on a podcast, like if it's
You're
more
right.
than two and
You're
a half
right.
or 3
Maybe 10
seconds,
Maybe
people
10
start
seconds.
to wonder what's wrong.
You're jerks.
That's what's wrong.
Round 4, question 1 is comedy. 2 months after she was announced to appear at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which comedian's appearance was canceled? Before getting her namesake Peacock show, she was the first African-American female to write for a late-night network talk show in the U.S., and that was Late Night with Seth Meyers. You may also know her from Comedy Central's Detroiters and Drunk History.
What was the category again?
Comedy.
That's not. What's the hint?
You got your Sherlock already.
Locked in, Nick?
Yeah. No, I'm assuming you're good with it, considering you haven't said anything.
That's just the way I show support.
We're locked in.
You can talk it out.
All right, so we got like very little time left, I assume.
Correct.
Danny, if we can't think of something else, we're going to say Wanda Sykes, but I'm trying to give you as much time as I can because you can see this person's face. Trey, what are you saying?
I picture like a younger black comedian, but I can't. I have no idea about the name. But you mentioned a segment, Danny. Jokes that Seth can't say.
Jokes Seth can't tell, and it's him, and then 2 female comedians on either side. One of them is a lesbian Jew, and the other one is this black girl whose name I cannot come up with to save my life.
Yeah.
It's a great segment. It's hilarious, but I cannot, for the life of me, come up with her name.
What do you think, Nikki? Is that enough to get us credit?
It is not, and unfortunately, we are at time, so I am going to need to prompt you for an answer.
Oh, I was so close. I thought we might get that. All right, I guess we're going Sykes. We can't think of the right answer.
Nick and Marcus, what did you guys say?
Well, we were typing in the chat, and I said, she does that segment with Seth Meyers where he tells inappropriate jokes that they wrote for him. It's her on one side and the lesbian Jew on the other. Nikki, is that close enough to get credit? And then thumbs down.
You're kidding, right? You did the same thing? That's amazing.
Same thing.
That's too good.
This is
I
why
love Marcus's comment, though. Is there any clue in the question other than all the facts about her?
Yeah, Jonathan, this is why it makes no sense for you and I to be on the same show together ever, because it's just the same jokes with the same people.
We're making the same jokes.
The one piece that I did have was that I remembered her name was Amber, and then I'm like, all right, name Amber's, and I'm like, is Amber Heard a thing? And then I'm like, oh wait, that's Johnny Depp's ex? That's not it. I eventually did pull it. I believe it's Amber Ruffin.
Locked in with Amber Ruffin, and your correct answer is Amber Ruffin.
Beep.
Does anybody, for 0 bonus points, can anybody tell me where Amber Ruffin is from?
Detroit?
No, she's from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Oh, why is she in a show called Detroiters?
Right.
I thought you were going to tell me
to.
I thought you were going to tell me to name the other woman on that segment with Seth Meyers, at which point, no, that's never going to happen.
Oh, no.
No. I love Amber Ruffin. She wrote a book called You'll Never Believe What Happened to Lacey, Crazy Stories of Racism. It's about her sister. It's told in Amber's voice, so it is funny, but it's about some stuff that is not funny at all. But in any case, it's a good read. Round 4, question 2, your category is architecture.
Architecture.
Thank you. Which famous New York City building sits on a triangular block formed by 5th Avenue, Broadway, and East 22nd Street?
Okay, you can type faster than me, yes.
Meow to the meow. We're locked in?
We can 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Flatiron Building.
The Flatiron Building is correct. Good job. You know, I was worried this game was going to be too difficult, and I changed some. You guys are doing extremely well. This is like the third 3, 2, 1 that we've had, so kudos.
No, my teammates are doing incredibly well. I am the top of that pyramid, just happily sitting there.
Do we know if the Flatiron Building was named for its shape for some reason, or was it just a Flatiron company?
No, it's named for the shape of the building. It's because it's a triangular shape. It's named after.
What does a Flatiron look like?
It looks like an iron.
Is long and skinny, and I use it to straighten my hair. but I don't think that's what they're talking about.
It's from an old iron, like the old.
Yeah,
it's like iron wrinkles out of clothes iron, but you used to like put it on a stove, and that's what heated it up.
Like a Monopoly token.
Yes, exactly.
Huh. Yeah, see, to me, that doesn't look like the building at all, which is why I was asking.
Look at it from the top and look down.
It's just a triangle-shaped building.
I know it. An iron is not just a triangle-shaped thing.
Right, it's like a squashy football.
Yeah, it's actually closer. It's closer to a modern Flatiron turned on its side and opened.
Yeah. That is depressing.
Oh, no.
That was really bad. Even I shouldn't have said that. All right.
Here. It looks like this. That's what it looks like.
Is this going to be a sexy Flatiron?
I was waiting for the sexy Flatiron.
I could have sworn it was going to be a sexy Flatiron.
I forgot about that bit. I hosted the last episode and didn't remember to do any of that. Oh, I got to go back to that. Find this.
Yeah, no, that building doesn't look like that. That's dumb. Thank you.
There's no handle on top of the building.
Exactly. That answers a lot for me because I was like, it can't be because it's shaped, right? Because that doesn't shape like this. And I'm right. It's not shaped like this.
Jonathan, no imagination.
Round 4, question 3. Your category is try it. It's delicious. What alliterative term was first coined by K. Eric Dexler in 1986? The phrase describes out-of-control, self-replicating nanotechnology, which leads to the end of life as we know it.
Nikki, what was the category?
Try it. It's delicious. 1 minute remaining. That was my alarm, which means we are at time. So I'm going to need answers from both teams, please.
All right. No more puns, Marcus. Make a choice.
All right. We're all out of time. In the next 10 seconds, we got to answer something. Otherwise, it's no answer and we move on. As far as us, I think it's no answer and move on because we don't even have a thing that we're choosing. So we got no answer.
We didn't even discuss an answer.
Go for it. All right. So no answer out of them. I loved hearing that. Marcus and I went through a ton of different options. We just started with 1980s, computerized terms around nanotech. I said cyber something, cyber swarm. And then Marcus said it has to be alliterative and it would be delicious. And he says, try the gray stuff. It's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. And we're like, oh, maybe it's something gray. We're like, gray stuff, gray gunk, gray goo, gray gas, gray gum, gray glob, gray goose. And I said, you know what? You're the guest. You go ahead and pick whatever you want. And he said, are you saying to be my guest? So Marcus, what did we end with?
We ended with the potentially wrong answer of gray glob.
Walking in with gray glob. Well, good news and bad news. Good news is Nick and Marcus, you caught on to the clue. Try the gray stuff. It's delicious. And it was mentioned in your chat, but it is gray goo.
Oh.
I can't believe you got that far. I mean,
we got it. Yeah.
You get 9.5 cool points for that.
That's awesome. How many until we get real points?
It's in the millions. You have to.
How many do I have so far?
9.5.
Like
-6. 6.
It kind of reminds me of the Microbots and Big Hero 6, or there's also there's an episode of Futurama called Benderama where it's like all of these tiny self-replicating benders that turns into gray goo.
Yep.
So just a big swarm.
Michael Crichton novel as well about nanotechnology.
Didn't even know that one, but yeah, that is your gray goo, which means that after the goo and round 4, Nick and Marcus have 123 and Jonathan, Trey, and Danny have 93.
We're still in this.
You are. You're absolutely in it. Round 5, question 1. Your category is names the same. What is the Australian surf clothing brand that is synonymous with an oxbow lake?
I'll do you a better question.
Okay.
What is an oxbow lake?
I'll give you a better question. Who is an oxbow
Why
lake?
is an oxbow lake?
Yeah, we can lock in, Marcus. I'm good with that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, they're locked in. So y'all are talking about billabongs. Talk about it.
I have no connection to Oxbow Lake, but I remember going to the mall back in the 90s when we still had malls, and there was a store called Billabong that was like surfer-type clothing, and that's all I've got.
Does Billabong still exist, though? Because I know a lot of those companies defaulted, unfortunately. So I was thinking like Billabong, Roxy. I also don't know what an oxbow lake is.
There is a piece of literature, the Oxbow Incident, maybe by Steinbeck. If either of you are familiar with that, maybe tell us what an oxbow lake is.
I mean, I think an oxbow lake is just referencing the shape of the lake, whatever the shape of an oxbow is. I mean, I kind of picture like a rainbow kind of arc, but I think it's just an oxbow lake is a lake shaped like an oxbow, whatever shape that might be.
Okay. If y'all want to say Billabong, I'm fine with it. I don't know. Is Airwalk an Australian brand? No, maybe. I don't know.
Airwalk wasn't that like a skateboarding thing?
That was skateboarding.
Yeah.
I wasn't cool enough to know the difference between Airwalk and Billabong.
The only surf, I mean, when I hear surf clothing brand, I think Billabong. That's the only thing I think. So
I think of, what's the one with the lettering, the surf shop? Forget it.
Ron something?
Yeah, Ron John. Hey, wow, that's good.
But that's American, isn't it?
I'm sure it is. I wasn't.
Yeah, that's.
I wasn't
I think
suggesting
that's
that's
like
the answer.
The big one is in Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Yeah, we have
Ron
signs
John.
for that stuff everywhere. Yeah. Let's say Billabong. That sounds very Australian.
Locking in with Billabong. Nick and Marcus?
An oxbow lake is a lake that is formed when a river changes its path and then the new path of the river gets cut off to form a lake. There's a famous one in Louisiana called False River because it's no longer part of the Mississippi River. I always thought a Billabong was like a lagoon type situation, but it makes sense that it could be a very small oxbow lake and then it looks like a little thing that kangaroos and capybaras go to. But we said Billabong because we think that's the right answer, and it is an Australian surf clothing brand.
Both teams locking in with Billabong, and both teams picking up points for that. Good job. And you have described a Billabong better than I could have. Yeah, it's when it meanders. But I love the imagery of like a little capybara coming up for a drink of water.
I just learned recently that there is a Capybara Cafe in St. Augustine. They also have a skunk and a few other things. I gotta go.
That's a fun thing about the beach. I'll put it in our team chat here, and then Nikki can share it with the other one. This was my Monday. That one, and let's see. Let's do that one.
Is this gonna be sexy?
A sexy capybara.
Yeah. So yeah, Nikki can share it with the other chat.
I will.
But yeah, they have a petting zoo up here, and they have a capybara. So we went and pet the capybara on Monday, like a week ago. It was amazing.
Good story.
I was in Jacksonville recently.
Oh, really? For what?
A friend of mine was getting married.
Did you have a good time?
Congratulations, Jonathan. I had a great time. It was at everything. It was fun seeing everyone there. It was a beautiful, very fitting ceremony. And as part of the trip there, we went to the Jacksonville Zoo. And I think they were moving around some exhibits because there was one that was supposed to be, I think, a giant anteater. And Marna and I were there, and a capybara walks by, and we're like, well, that's not an anteater. That's clearly a capybara. It was
Hold
very
on.
cute.
It's a Jacksonville Zoo. They may just not know what the different animals
I
are.
think they just have some capybaras in the same exhibit, probably.
It's like in China when they fluff up the dog and tell you it's a lion or a panda or whatever, those scandals where they're trying to pass off of one animal as another.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a panda, it's a corgi.
All right, round 5, question 2. Your category is science.
Science.
An amalgam is a mixture of what element with another metal? And I'm going to prompt both teams for an answer.
Are you currently prompting us for an answer, or are you going to in a certain period of time?
Give me answers now.
All right, pick one, Marcus. Done. We're locked in.
Okay.
All right, guys. I know we don't have a great answer. We don't have a good answer. I would rather go calcium on the chance of it being a metal and just not looking like a metal than to guess a random metal that doesn't feel right.
You're the only one, Jonathan. I said iron. Danny said aluminum. You said calcium right off the bat. 3 different answers. You're the only one that had any explanation for your answer. So I'm good with going with your answer of calcium.
I can tell you this. I've had dental work done consistently on my mouth for 30 years. My mouth is full of amalgam. Every filling I've got in the last 10 years is amalgam. And Nick's laughing because he's probably saying the same thing in his chat. I have gold teeth. Those are not amalgam. Those are gold, right? I don't know what it's made of, but it's teeth. You're putting something in your teeth. Why not have it be calcium? The only reason that I'm not feeling good about that is I don't know for sure if calcium's a metal. But there are other metals that don't look like metals. So, and we're out of time, and we don't have a better thing, so please let's go calcium.
I'm good with that.
All right, calcium.
Locking in with calcium. And what did you guys say, Nick?
Marcus immediately threw out silver, and my first thought was iron. Maybe like amalgam is for like the combining iron with carbon, and that makes steel, and that's the like basis of amalgam. It's things with iron. And then I sat there and I said to myself, wait a minute, I've heard this term before used separately from like learning about things. Like, where did I hear it? Oh, I've heard it at the dentist. I have a ton of fillings. My mouth is filled with amalgams. What could that possibly mean? And I said, well, what are old-timey fillings? I said, those are mercury. Mercury's a metal. What about mercury? And Marcus goes, yeah, but silver was what they used for fillings. We went with silver, and that was his first thought. So we ended up with silver.
Silver and gold. You guys are locked in. Oh, wait, no, you said calcium, not gold, right?
We said calcium.
Okay, you were tossing around gold at one time too. So we've got calcium and we've got silver. And I can tell you that silver is mixed with the correct answer for fillings. It is mercury.
I had it.
We put mercury. I got mercury in my mouth.
Yes.
Are mercury and silver both metals?
Yes.
Yes.
Mercury is the only metal that's liquid at room temperature, except for no, I think it's just mercury.
So are they?
I think bromine counts.
So if silver and this is just like the lawyer in me, if silver and mercury are both metals, and they are the only two things that are mixed with each other to make an amalgam.
That's not what the question says. It says this element with another metal, meaning it could be any other metal.
So you could have like a gold amalgam with gold and mercury would be a gold.
Right. Yeah. Amalgam is mercury and something else. Or is an amalgam just the one thing?
Almost all metals can form amalgams with mercury, and silver mercury amalgams are important in dentistry. Gold mercury amalgam is used in the extraction of gold from ore. That's the flavor that I've got.
And Jonathan,
and a little mercury flavor in the back of my mouth for some reason.
Yeah, there hasn't been mercury in fillings since maybe the early 80s. Like that was something they got rid of. It's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't put that in people anymore.
So only a few of my fillings are mercury.
Correct. So only the oldest ones that are still there that haven't been replaced.
And mercury is Quicksilver, and that's another Australian surfer brand.
And also has the word silver in it. You were really close. If you had said fast silver, you might have gotten it.
Right.
So no points for that question, but another opportunity right now. Round 5, question 3, and your category is mythological creatures. Closely related to the Irish leprechaun, what is the name of the subterranean gnome-like creature in Cornish and Devon folklore? It is known for playing tricks on miners, that's miners with an E, listeners, and gets its name from the sound it supposedly makes to lead miners to ore or warn them of an impending collapse. I suppose when I say ore, that kind of gives it away which type of miner I'm talking about.
Category?
Category is mythological creatures.
So by your picture, you're saying you should know it.
No, my husband should know it. I'm in his office.
And while these are very entertaining discussions on both sides, I'm going to need you guys to wrap them up and come to a consensus for me.
All right. Y'all want to lock that in?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure.
All right. We're locked in.
I named the only type of Cornish cryptid I could come up with, which is a legitimate answer, which is the Cornish pixie. But I agree with you that it's not a great answer. It's just a Cornish cryptid. So
you didn't come up with a Cornish hen?
Not a Cornish hen. It's a Cornish cryptid, the pixie. But that's not a sound that it would make in a mine. And they have wings, so they're not flying around underground.
Yeah, it gets its name from the sound it supposedly makes. I mean, what sound could it make? A click, a creak, a clack, a tap,
So like you said, a hiss, a siren, a knock, a hoot, a holler.
If the time's up, y'all got to come up with an answer. You can't keep thinking.
I think they did lock in with Pixie. Is that right?
No, I think. What do you want to go with? Crackle?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go with crackle.
Okay, locking in with Crackle. And Jonathan, Trey, and Danny.
I started off by saying goblin and dwarf. There was some thought about possibly gremlin, but we went with Trey's answer of hobgoblin, which I like the idea of some little gnomish type creature like hobgob, 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 hobgob. So that seems viable. So we said hobgoblin. He's walking, you know, when he walks, he's going forward, but he's kind of going side to side. And that's like hobgob, 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 hobgob.
Like Hoggle in Labyrinth?
Yes.
Yep,
Just
that's
like
exactly
Hoggle.
what I thought of. 100%.
Well, spoiler alert, neither team got it right. Let me give you one additional clue and see if you guys can get it from this. I wondered if I should have added one. It is not related to a pinball wizard.
Tommy Knocker.
Tommy Knocker is the correct answer. The knocking sound, which you guys did mention knock as one of your like onomatopoeias. Yeah, the knock is supposed to lead them to or warn them of an impending collapse. Sometimes they're just called knocker or knacker, but Tommy Knocker is the one that I've heard before.
Yeah, the guys are like going deeper into the mine. I think I hear some knockers down here. Let's go check them out.
What was Tommy Knocker's
There's a movie.
King novel?
There's a Stephen King novel or story, yeah.
And he comes through the TV to get the little kid.
Wow. I thought that was Poltergeist.
And The Ring.
I probably want to go back and re-listen to the first 100 episodes of the podcast lore. I've forgotten so much of it now, but so much of those early episodes were devoted to all of the different cryptids and things like that. And each of them has their own little story and their own set of powers and their own rules. And it's
just
really
going
cool.
through the monster manual and flipping through, writing questions.
It's pretty good.
Well, now you are refreshed on the Tommy Knocker. That's what that one is. So after round 5, Nick and Marcus still lead with 133 to Jonathan, Trey, and Danny's 103. That brings us to round 6, and your question 1, the theme is geography.
Geography.
Stanley is the capital of what British overseas territory? Its inhabitants are nicknamed Kelpers. 1 minute remaining. That is time, so I'm going to need the answers from both teams.
No.
All right, we're locked in.
Ah!
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you got us just far enough of the way towards a possible answer to drive us crazy by not being able to remember the name of it. That's awesome.
Perfectly written. Now lock in, please.
No, I was talking to Danny, not you. We're out of time, guys. You want to say Virgin Islands?
Whatever you want to go with, Jonathan. That's fine.
Yeah, I cannot think of the other one.
All right, we'll say the Virgin Islands.
Okay, they're locking in with the Virgin Islands. And Nick and Marcus, what did you guys lock in with?
So we talked about the famous Thermos Islands. We talked about many islands that are not overseas that Nick listed. And then I remind him of the question that it has to be overseas from Britain.
Yeah. All right. British Isles. Isle of Man, Isle of Wight, Isle of Skye. And he goes, yeah, those aren't so much overseas.
And then at
they
one point
are from here.
They are from here, but not from where the question originates. I thought Stanley would be a first name, and I said what may be the right answer, but then we locked in with Christmas Island or Islands.
Yeah, the bottom line is we didn't know where the Christmas Islands were. We didn't know if they were British territory. We said a whole bunch of other things. We, being Marcus, sent a bunch of realistic answers, but we didn't know where they were. For example, he said the Falkland Islands. I said, are those in Canada? And he goes, I don't know.
The Falkland Islands are near Argentina, which is the exact set of islands
That would
we
be
were
the
trying to
opposite of
remember that we were trying to remember and could not.
Couldn't get there.
Falkland Island War. All right, so y'all said what?
Christmas Islands.
Christmas Islands. Good. We said
Virgin Island.
And you would have been correct if you could have pulled the Falkland Islands. That was the correct answer.
I was right there.
You were.
If
so was
anyone
I.
is listening and is from the Falklands, as I was double checking something now, I just learned that Kelpers can actually be considered derogatory. So no offense intended there. It comes from kelp surrounding the islands. Also, there's a Reddit thread that I found where a couple residents have chimed in and said, no, I don't consider it pejorative. It's just old fashioned. So in any case, no offense intended. And your answer is Falkland Islands.
Honestly, Nikki, I thought you were sitting there and you're like, I just learned that it could be considered pejorative. So just remember, Nick said it.
No. Round 6, question 2. Your category is space.
Space.
The Final Frontier.
In 1977, Dr. Jerry R. Amon, working with the Big Ear Radio Telescope at the Ohio State University, recorded a radio signal from space that stood out from background noise. It was one of the strongest candidates for a potential extraterrestrial radio transmission ever detected. What exclamation did Dr. Amon write down next to the data that gave the event its name?
All right, we're locked in.
I've heard of this before. I feel like I remember reading a Wikipedia page about this, and it was called the blank event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's named after, because he wrote down, like, he's looking at the paper and sees the printout for the radio signal and writes down something beside it. I've heard of this. I don't know that I can pull it, but
It's
I have
the
heard
Eureka
this.
event.
I mean, that's not a bad guess if we can't think of anything else.
Is
but
it the damn event? Or
the wow event?
The
or
wow, the hallelujah event? The
incredible, hallelujah, amazing.
Uh-huh.
I think I've heard it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it. Wow kind of sounds, I don't know.
Fine by me. Do you want to say the wow event? Danny, you good with that?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, we'll say wow. We'll say wow.
Okay.
Whoa.
That's the Joey Lawrence effect.
The whoa.
It was just a bad Owen Wilson impression.
Wow.
Whoa.
Instead of the Joey Lawrence. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, Nick and Marcus, what did you guys lock in with?
Hey, Trey, how many episodes of Trivial Warfare have you listened to?
Probably most of them.
Yeah, that sounds accurate, because that information's like in the back of your brain somewhere, right? Like you think you know it, like, but you can't quite pull it. But you've definitely heard it somewhere. Maybe from Carmela, maybe in like episode 280, 90-ish, something in that general vicinity. Maybe it was earlier in the 220s. But I definitely hear this. Wow is the answer we locked in with.
Both teams locking in with wow, and both teams are correct. Wow, Mom. Cool.
Wow, indeed. Wow, indeed, Trey. That's
I
amazing.
heard it somewhere.
Wow with that poll. That was good.
Real good.
That's one of those, like, it's in your brain.
Yeah. I don't know where from, but it's there somewhere.
It's from Carmela.
Thank you, Carmela.
Round 6, question 3. Your category is music.
Music.
Which crooner just set a Billboard record for the longest span between appearances on the adult contemporary chart, over 63 years, thanks to a 2025 charity single for Tanzania? Known for his clean-cut image, he was a very popular entertainer in the 1950s and 60s, and even hosted a variety show on ABC.
All right, we're locked in.
Yeah, so, guys, I don't think this is a living person, and I don't think that it is somebody who has anything to do with Tanzania. I feel like this is a current artist, somebody making music now, who sampled a song that has a crooner on it, like a Bing Crosby or a Dean Martin or whoever else that might have had a variety show. I think those two might have.
Well, it's definitely not Dean Martin. He wasn't clean cut. He was known for drinking, smoking, and everything in between.
Right.
Same thing with Sinatra.
I agree. Same thing with...
Who are some of the people that hosted variety shows, maybe not known as much for music as Dick
Dean
Allen?
Martin was... Yeah, Dick Allen was. Sure, he wasn't a crooner, though. Milton Berle wasn't a crooner.
If this person didn't have any hits since the 1960s, to me, he's known for something more than being a singer. So, like, to me, that eliminates people like Sinatra, Dean Martin, plus the clean cut thing. So somebody that's not known for being a singer as much.
Do you want to go Bing Crosby?
Sure.
That's fine.
All right, we'll say Bing Crosby.
Okay, locked in with Bing Crosby. Nick and Marcus, what did you guys land on?
This is amazing, Jonathan. This is literally the conversation that we had. It was Marcus goes, well, who could it be? And I'm like, I think it's somebody who's dead. This is probably a modern musician that would sample the song. And then he goes, it doesn't have to be somebody who's dead. And I looked at the dates and I'm like, well, it doesn't, but it feels like it is. So we went with the very obvious, not Sinatra.
Good answer.
Sinatra.
Good answer.
Yep.
Not Sinatra. Sinatra.
Yeah, Sinatra. Got it. Well, in a shocking twist, this person is alive.
Beep. Me.
Jonathan!
What? I'm irritated.
I was looking for nonagenarian Pat Boone.
All right, Marcus, we get points. We nailed it. That's not Sinatra.
Pat Boone did come to my head, but I didn't know he had a variety era. I wouldn't have called him a crooner. There's no way I was wanting to guess him.
So I recently heard this on the radio during my commute to work, and I didn't know much about him, so I was looking how different news outlets had described him. And they do call him a crooner. A little bit of maybe cultural appropriation in the beginning. He was kind of the person who introduced some gospel music and some R&B stuff to like white audiences and stuff. So, but now he's doing stuff for Tanzania. And the big notable thing was that huge gap in between, 63 years, and he's still alive. So, okay, that brings us to the end of round 6. Nick and Marcus, you have 143 points. And Jonathan, Trey, and Danny, you have 113. Your gauntlet category is Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones.
Did you write the question, Nikki, or is it some, I guess, who wrote the gauntlet?
These are all Nikki Bates originals, baby.
Oh, wait, Nikki wrote them all? 0. All right, we're locked in.
We don't have that many.
Oh, yeah, we're the
Yeah, let's do it. Can we wager more than points than we actually have?
No.
You may not.
Can't. We'll do the number that Danny just put, Nikki.
And here is your gauntlet. The category of Mr. Jones. Question 1 is, what storied vessel measured 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high?
Okay, we're going to lock in.
Okay, Nick and Marcus.
Oh, we're good, right? We can lock in, Marcus?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lock in.
Okay. Question 2 in your gauntlet. After starring in films alongside Bill Bojangles Robinson and Gary Cooper, who served as a U.S. ambassador to Czechoslovakia and was even considered as a potential running mate for Gerald Ford?
Okay, I think we're going to lock in.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither, Marcus. I have no idea what the category is. We're also locked in.
We're all in the same place. We think we're getting them right, but we don't know how.
I know what it is, Nick.
Oh, well, type it.
All right, question 3, your final question in the gauntlet. Gauntlet? Okay, your final question. The fall of Acre in 1291 is generally considered the end of what series of religious conflicts?
Yeah, check the chat. That's right. I've got the connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll lock in. I fully agree. Great job. Good puzzle. Love that.
All right, so Marcus, if it's Indiana Jones is the theme, then Temple. It's Temple, Ark, Temple. Right. So then the third movie is The Crusades, which is a religious thing that could be ended around 1291.
The Last Crusade?
Yeah.
You could say?
Yep.
Technically.
You could say that, yeah, that was the last crusade.
So the middle one wasn't Shirley Jones?
It wasn't Shirley Jones. No, that would be Temple of Doom, which also is a reference to Shirley, I think.
Don't call me Shirley. All right.
So you've answered your question. You answered?
Yeah, we're locked in. I said we're locked in.
All right, Nikki.
All right. Everyone is locked in, so let's go through your answers. Question 1, what was that storied vessel that was cubits by cubits by cubits? Jonathan and Trey and Danny, let's start with you.
We all said Noah's Ark.
Nick and Marcus?
We also said Noah's Ark.
Okay. Question 2, who was that person who was they starred in films, they were an ambassador and a potential running mate? Who are we talking about? Nick and Marcus, let's start with you.
Who's that girl? We said Shirley Temple.
And you guys?
Danny?
I'm actually Czech by background, so this one was an instant get for me. It's Shirley Temple.
Both teams in lockstep so far. And the final question, the fall of Acre in 1291 is generally considered the end of what series of religious conflicts? Jonathan, Trey, and Danny?
Trey, you figured it all out at this point. Walk us through it.
We thought we knew the first two answers, didn't know the connection. Then we finally figured out Indiana Jones. And so The Last Crusade, maybe controversially, is my favorite Indiana Jones movie. So we said Crusades.
It's the best Indiana Jones movie. I'm with you.
Not controversial. I agree as well. Nick and Marcus?
Crusades 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark 2, Doom 3, and that's it. That's the end of the list of Indiana Jones movies that were made.
I agree.
Yeah, we said Last Crusade.
Okay, so let's go through the correct answers. That storied vessel, 300 by 50 by 30 cubits, was in fact Noah's Ark. Good job. The person who starred with Bojangles and was a potential running mate for Gerald Ford, both teams right again. That was Shirley Temple. And in no surprise, since you guys figured out the theme, that series of religious conflicts that I was talking about was indeed the Crusades. Mr. Jones was a reference to Indiana Jones, and kudos to both teams for catching on to that. So it's gonna...
Really good. That was a good puzzle, Nikki. Well done.
That was good. Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Opens up so many more Gauntlet concepts in the future with trilogy movies that I can reference. It's excellent. It's the best kind of puzzle, one that gives me more options for the future.
I will keep that in mind as I play your future games then. Okay, so this is going to come down to wagers. So,
start with the trailing team.
Let's start with Jonathan, Trey, and Danny then. What did you guys end up wagering?
After much deliberation and talking, we ended up wagering 153.
That's a solid number.
We figured that we needed to bet a high enough number to where if you doubled up, you couldn't beat us.
That's real good. What's funny is when you were laughing earlier, I assumed you thought you had our score and we had your score, but that's nobody's score. Yeah. 153 is not a viable bet for either team.
I'm changing it on the fly.
It was 133.
Yes, but no, I'm changing it on the fly to make it better.
Okay.
We wagered 103.
Okay, and you got it right. So, I'm sorry. One moment.
My rule when I play trivia is never go to 0. You got to leave 10 on the table.
206. 206.
No, 216, I believe, because...
You're right, 216. Give us 10 more points.
That leaves you with 216. I'm sorry. The Sherlock, again, is not on the sheet, and so I was double-checking to make sure everything was included. So apologize for the dramatic pause. Or do I? Because does this add suspense to the game? Nick and Marcus, what was your wager?
Marcus, math was yours.
So what Jonathan normally does is he figures if they can lock you out, he tries to do all this math jujitsu that gets you to, well, we don't really need to bet at all because we can just bet like some really prime number like 79 and we'll just be fine. And I thought that's what he was going to do. Doing that math out, we left ourselves some room. We only bet 22.
Really?
Despite getting many more answers correct.
Yeah.
22 points, and it was not enough because with a final score of 216, Jonathan, Trey, and Danny, you are the winners of this episode of Trivial Warfare. Good job.
Wow.
That was all Danny because Jonathan did some math and he said we should wager 61, and I was like, yeah, that's good. And then Danny's like, let's bet it all but 10, and that's what we did. So go Danny.
Meanwhile, I'm over here going, wait, is the Sherlock in? Did I include that? Yeah, so the final score, 216 to 165. Coming from behind there to take the win. Nice job, guys.
Outstanding.
Jonathan said 61 because I had 59 written, and then I had 60, and he was like, they'll think 60. We'll do 61.
That's what Jonathan said, 61.
I had us on 61, yeah, for sure. What would it... I think we still would have won if we bet 61, though.
Yeah, 22 wasn't enough for a 61 bet.
Yeah.
God, that would have been a fun little tight finish, though.
We bet the miss for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Great job, everybody. Great job. Good game and well-written game. That was some good questions, Nikki. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Before we go, we like to give everybody a chance to do shout-outs and promote causes that they care about. Trey, you were one of the players on the winning team. We're going to start with you.
Thanks for having me on again. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Just what I needed after my vacation, getting back yesterday. So thanks for that. I want to shout out my wife, Amanda, for taking care of the kids. They're downstairs. She's wrangling the 3 and 5-year-olds. So just shout out to her.
We love you, Amanda. Thank you. Danny, over to you.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me back. It was really, really fun. And I will say that between the one other time I've been on this show and a couple other podcasts, trivia podcasts I've been lucky enough to been on, this is the first time I've won.
Hey!
So I'm very excited. And also, I'm a child when I say this, but you said it's episode 528, and my birthday is May 28th.
Whoa, that's very cool.
So I'm very excited. Anyways, also need to thank my husband. My kids are a bit older, but he did keep them quiet because sometimes they can be like oil and water, and I really appreciate that because they're right above my head currently. But as a general thing, just be nice. It's really easy to be angry right now at everything, the way the world's going. It's a lot harder to kind of see a little bit of sunshine. So just look for the sunshine. It's there.
Love it. What's your husband's name?
My husband's name is Don.
We love you, Don. Thank you. All right, Marcus, last but not least.
I want to give a shout out to my wife, Katie, watching our kids. I have to go meet them at my mother-in-law's house to celebrate Easter.
You haven't met your kids?
Yeah.
What kind of father are you?
Well, you saw one earlier, so at least one of them I've met. No, I didn't have it calendared correctly, so I RSVP'd to this without realizing it was the same time. So she's wonderful. As far as a cause, Nick's intro is correct. If you spend enough money, you can be exactly where he is, a contestant on this show. I was looking at my Patreon last night, and I'm happy to have supported this wonderful podcast for
many
to
years.
the end, I think, of 2017. So
yeah.
Listener long before that. It is wonderful. It is a lot of fun to be here. And thanks, Jonathan. I'm looking forward to number 10 next time.
What's number 10? Wait, what am I
My
doing?
10th appearance on the show.
My 10th appearance on the show.
Double digits.
Because, oh, God, is there an expectation on me for something I don't know? I'm in trouble.
You don't have the jackets made?
It's just like a double Sherlock, Jonathan. Come on.
Honestly, I need to get maybe we need like a 10-timer pin
The
or
10
something
Timers
like that.
Club.
Yeah, right? That seems like a lot. That means you got to be around for a long time. That's very
lanyard.
cool.
Maybe like a Google Glass plaque, like you were the first person to Google this phrase on Trivial Warfare.
Right.
Either way you go. Katie, we love you. Thank you for watching the kids. Sorry for Marcus' scheduling. That wasn't our fault, I promise. All right, guys. It is time to wrap up. So for Danny, for Trey, for Marcus, for Nikki, and for Nick, my name is Jonathan. This has been episode number 528 of Trivial Warfare, where it is not just trivia, it's war. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to Trivial Warfare. Be sure to check out the revamped TrivialWarfare.com as your one-stop shop to submit questions, join the community, and get access to over 150 archived episodes. Warm It Up was written and performed by Matthew Stevens. This episode was edited and produced by me, Joel Sharpton. For help with your podcast, visit ProPodcastingServices.com.
Baby, you have another parent who's not working. She's in her room. You should go that way. All right.
Move along, child.
You had to walk by the other parent to find me.
I know. It's ridiculous.